Awesome. I was a little bored this week, so I just made a couple of introductory questions for today with everybody coming up here. And then I figure we will go into an open, Q&A. We will have, if you want to ask questions, put them in the chat, and we actually have our section where they'll be copied and pasted. You can upvote them or downvote them to prioritize them. That way we don't miss them while they're, streaming by in the chat there. Does anybody need the link to where we upvote and downvote them? See, fantastic. Thank you so much. Do we have Anya? Do we have everybody here? We have all our speakers. Cool. So, hi guys. We're doing Coffee with Champions. I don't know about you guys, but it's 3 p.m., so I'm drinking a cola instead. But welcome to Coffee with Champions. We've got all of our champions here today. So we have RSP from C1. We've got Vig from C2. I'm going through them here. I can't even read my own screen. Look at this. TTC from C3. WDF from C4, and we've got PPK from C5, and Next from C6. So I'm just going to jump into that first question here of what was the most important aspect that led to your team's success? If anybody wants to open up with that question. Don't all speak at once now.
I might I might take a stab at that. Hey everybody. I think at the end for us specifically like when we started going into battle, and I was talking about that with Doug yesterday, we would see all those big alliances, and we had our mindset in being small. We always liked the idea of being small, but there was like a breakdown period when we fought the very first challenge just to get the alliance castle, and then we were like, dude, it would be really cool to like push the boundaries and see where as how far we can get. And when we did decide to do that and push, a little bit of more power and things like that, we were able to get to third. And but the battle for third kind of like was a little bit heartbreaking because the points on the table for everybody else was so disparate from all of us, and we sort of decided that we wanted to have a big rowdy team. Steel Hours is not as big as most of the others here, but we were like, oh, it was cool to be in the finals. It was cool to be third. And then we just had the alliance buy into the idea of the development part. We never established any specific goals for them to, coin or do anything like that, but we did establish that we would be a very strategic alliance. We would know as much about the game as we possibly could, and we would always try to strategize and do the best we could. Also was I think one thing that was very helpful for us was always to have a goal. Like in C3, everybody used VOW as the standard for a very long time. Everybody wanted to beat Val, so that was definitely like a target on their back. And I kind of think that helped us a lot, having that alliance to beat, having that standard. There was a healthy competition. We always had a good relationship with Val, but at the same time, we knew that facing them was a real challenge. So I think having the challenge to get the team pushed to the next level, and also understanding that every alliance has its limitations. We played within our limitations, but we made it fun to chase the goal of facing them and trying to be challenge champions.
That does sound like a lot of fun. I know, especially when you're the underdog, that teamwork and having that sort of mindset that this is your goal and this is what you're chasing is just so important. Did anybody else have anything other than Viper just saying that he outcoined everybody? I mean, he's free to play, but he definitely outcoined everyone.
For I can answer for RSP, I guess, if you want.
Cool, that'd be great, Jake.
So our whole thing going into it is we just needed to stay focused and all that. Could you rephrase the question? Actually, like repeat it.
Yeah, so it was what was the most important aspect that led to your team's success? And so you're saying focus, like how do you
Yeah,
use that
it was
focus?
focus was our base. So we would keep the comms clear. We'd just be focusing on where targets are, like who's hitting who, and who has marches out and stuff. What portals we need to pull from and rally. So we just weren't like doing a whole lot of outside of the game chatter. We were just staying hyper focused on like finding GOT and HOT and Meatman. Yeah, so that just being focused is what caused us to win, pretty much.
Awesome. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't really think about how focus plays into our battlefields, and it can get really distracting. Uh, I see we have Silver up here.
Hello.
Hello. Did you want to answer the first question of like what led? I mean, I know a little bit of what led to
Honestly,
your team's success there, but how you guys got into the finals and what led you there? Oh, she went muted again.
sorry, I'm here.
Oh, there you go.
Honestly, as far as getting to the final goes, we just focused on our core players and tried to, we had a semi-final with two K45s. And one of them we were in particularly concerned about. Those of you who know him, Red China is not like the best player in C6, so we were in particularly worried. But Saigon was gonna be, a challenge to me, and we honestly just kind of focused on our strengths as a team. We had roles assigned for everyone. Obviously, in C6, we're not too big on rallies yet, especially when you're meeting Ireland, Wales. There's no rallying. But we pulled it off pretty great, I'd say. And then as far as the finals goes, there's been a lot of controversy for the C6 finals, accusations of cheating, point trading. I'm sure some of you will have
Can
seen
we
that.
keep that? Can we keep that stuff out, please?
Yeah. I was just gonna say it kind of played out in our favor in the end. We just did our thing and, came out on top.
Absolutely, and I know, like you said, C6 is really you were facing those K45, so it's good to hear about that grind. Did anybody else want to answer the question?
I can answer soon. I mean, we always joke what separates us is the power of love. But not even joke. We say it every time. No, yeah, like and the biggest rally cap in the game. Just saying, bigger than RSPs.
Shots
But
fired.
yeah, no, yeah. Well, Oz already knows
But
that.
do you fill it?
107, baby. But we just enjoy playing with each other, and the ego is pretty low on most of our players, and it really is having fun, and we have players that focus on building other people up, and so that's just worked for us. So.
Kind of Rev, and if I can add to that, I kind of think that Rev brought up a very good point. I think the big thing also is biggest thing is the team has to have zero ego with each other within that battle to be able to accomplish those things, because I think it gets on the way of seeing it through clearly, that people just go different directions and don't focus on the team specifically for that type of a battle. And I can see how being a little bit selfish and it's a little bit of ego going to All Stars, but I think for challenges specifically, you definitely have to have a team that it's not egocentric. So you can apply strategy. Everybody can buy into that, and they can move forward as a team.
Yeah, what I think helped PPK this year was that we were able to get really good participation and buy-in into our game plan from all 25 players. So most people probably just think about their core, but we were able to get really good buy-in and participation from everyone, even the small keeps that aren't, battlefield, experienced. Really bought into the plan and helped us, and of course, a little luck helps too.
Yeah, I think you guys all made really, really great points. So, do any of you have any suggestions for those out there that may aspire for a next, Châlons season? How do you combat some of that ego? I'm sure we've all, run into ego in this game, or even within our own team. So, how did you guys overcome some of that ego to come together as a team to be champions?
Honestly, for us on finals was and then this is maybe very specific on a person like the person that made a lot of difference for us this year was definitely having Chubby playing with us on semifinals and finals. Um, she basically coordinated most of the stuff with keeping us under control, focused on targets. She kept a really good position on checking score. So I kind of think that I think every alliance is going to have a little bit of an ego at some point, but I think that having that person that keeps you under control and um, focused on the target helps a lot, because I think it makes you remind why you're playing that game. You know what I mean? So that's definitely part of what helped us.
Yeah, you just gotta remind everyone that having an ego is cringe. That's so 2010. Screw having an ego, Like we're all here to have fun. It's a freemium game where it's free to play, but it's premium when with coining. It's not like it's Call of Duty where skill necessarily is everything. So you shouldn't have a big ego to begin with. So I feel like just focusing on the game and just literally telling people like, "Hey, drop the ego shit." We're having fun. That's what some people should do if they're having trouble with egos.
You mean I
There's
can't
always
just
someone
camp and snipe?
who spends more, right? There's someone who spends more. There's someone who spends more time. Like, there's no point comparing yourself to other people and other teams. Like, it's always just having fun. Like, focus on having fun, and the rest will come, or you'll have fun. Like, at the end of the day, if you've had fun and you've enjoyed your team, win or lose, you've had fun. But the other stuff is it's just obstacles in the way.
Absolutely. So, did anybody else want to pipe up on this first question? Have anything else that they wanted to add about that climb to this season? How hard was it for this season? I know uh, some of the continents were super competitive this season. How difficult did you guys find it to make it into those finals?
I comment for WDF. So I think one of the biggest things that like we could focus on, for the winning finals and overall success is like consistency. Like we play every battlefield that it's just as important as the one that's next and the one that was before it, right? And like people are in, the same portals. We have a similar type of game plan, and players have similar roles. And then along with that is like consistent and sustained growth amongst the team members. With people having sort of a team focused goal rather than having like individual goals. And I think that helped us, to be successful again here.
Awesome. So, I'm going to be honest. I only really knew the C5 finals there and how stacked those were. Were they stacked like that across all of the other continents as well, with those semis?
I kind of think we had a little bit of at least C3 has been. We have like I think in C3 we have the lowest power specifically from an alliance perspective, but across the board, right? Because Val is not Val that is the biggest alliance in C3 is not as big as all the other alliances on the other continents. But I think part of the things that was good is that they went the biggest alliances buff wise, laterals wise, they faced each other in the semifinals. So like we did have a good finals, but I don't think the most pragmatically speaking, I don't think the most powerful alliances were in that final. I think if we had like a really stacked up final, would be probably Val, ATM, us, and probably one of the two that made two finals, or maybe REV. But in terms of having the laterals, I think the laterals and rally capacity, and also from a strategy perspective, it wasn't as stacked as it could have been.
So you feel like C3 was stacked, but not as stacked.
Yes, I think it was. Most of it broke down into the semifinals, right? Like it happened before. At least it happened like 2 seasons ago where we actually had the four biggest alliances facing each other in the semifinals. Like the finals was not as stacked as it could have been. I think it was the same situation. Kind of makes it a little bit boring from my perspective because I would rather having all the top powerful alliances in the same finals. I think that would be the best case scenario because then you really test yourself. But it happened that both two of those most powerful alliances faced each other in semifinals, and that kind of broke it down a little.
Well, did anybody want to add anything before we go on to that next question?
So the question was about like the stacked semifinals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure everyone knows that the C1 semis were like crazy. There's
Mm-hmm.
HLT, GOT, us, and then Ace, which is like Meat Man, huge guy. That was insane for the first little bit. It was so insane that we did not even pay attention to the score until the last hour because we just knew there's gonna be a lot of stuff happening, and we could make up any score like anytime we wanted to. But yeah, that was a super stacked finals. It was like three 750 bill teams, and then like a crazy 60 bill account on the other
Mm-hmm.
team. So yeah, that was an interesting match that you all can watch on YouTube.
Nice plug.
Shameless
But that,
plug.
see, that does actually lead us into the next question that I had for everybody of, what strategies did you guys expect to work that didn't, and how did you adapt? I kind of took X-Wing's question and uh, rephrased it a little bit there. So did you guys go in with any specific strategies that you're like, yeah, this is how we're going to do it, and then just did not turn out that way? Don't all talk at once, guys.
I kind of feel like I'm talking too much, so that was why I was holding back.
Same.
Yes, yes, we did, and yes, we had to pivot a little bit, no, entirely, right? Actually, we knew that. So I do want to point out something that is very probably common between all of us. So I a few All Stars ago, like I had a match in the first round that was like the glitchiest match for me ever, and the team that adapted better to using that glitch was the team that actually passed. And I remember the Sardine at that time was saying the team that adapts better, have to play with the 26th player, which is the glitch. So we always go into any battle like this with that in mind. But the strategy initially was to try to keep it close to them in rally speed because we know it can be as fast as them. But then we faced the glitch, or sometimes my rally was sitting like for 20, 30 seconds without feeling like people were just like stuck, not marching, not doing anything, and we had to adapt to that and catch up to them in points. so from that point on, when we saw that there was no more points on the table for us to flip it, then that's when we started playing defense. I do think that there's a point in any of those battles where you have to stop playing attack as much if it's not working as expected, and then you play defense. And that's where things like cross raining, port swapping, setting up some traps. There was a situation specifically. I remember when we flipped the score that we landed a rally, and then we knew it was so close that we had to pull something. And Chubby was extremely against what I asked and did, and she was like, "I don't agree with that at all." But then we ran Cario, one of our players, with a 55 mil, and he took 2 rallies in a row, and for the third I port swapped. So that was kind of crucial on how we played defense, and we tied the score at that point. In the live, you can see very clearly how we did it. But I kind of feel like going in with one single strategy and having and not having anybody that can actually tell you how the score is going through and how things are going and how you have to flip it at that time is also very important. So definitely have more than one strategy, and 100% of the times always count with the 26 player, right? Always count with the glitches, because if you are facing a glitch and the other alliance is having an easier time to filling rallies, landing rallies, doing all those things, then you're going to be behind. And if you don't adapt to that part, it's super bad. And, it's going to play against you.
I agree. I found offense was way more challenging because of the lag. Like, you could set a fake to try to redirect reinforcements, but it took so long to launch and settle that the fakes were irrelevant because all the rallies had reinforcements in it, and a lot of pre-reen I saw. So I found us less effective on offense, and I thought defense was really where our best point generation was happening.
Yeah, for sure. So to look at X-Wing's question, he was like trying to ask something at Oz, and he's asleep right now, but I can try to answer for him. He was asking when RSP was down 40K, like how was our morale? What did we do? Were we mad? Like what did we do to change? So he actually like told me, right at the first start when we just started rallying, he saw that we were red barring at around 100 mil. So he knew as soon as the game would quit lagging that we were just going to steamroll the rest of the 3 teams, even if there's shenanigans. And that's what happened. If you look at the 30-minute mark, someone did mention, oh, we're down. And we just didn't care because we knew we could make up 40K, 50K, 100K whenever we wanted to. So we just stayed focused and didn't get upset or anything. Like we were chill the whole time for the most part.
Oh, we had
Yeah.
Chubby yelling at us. That's what kept us under control. That's our morale. Chubby yelling at us.
I think
Yeah, and
that's a key thing, like because of the power involved and the teams involved, it's like easy to be a little bit, lower on score, but it's you don't just let it ruin your morale or get you down. You just keep going because these things just happen and it changes. All you need is like one massive clear or two massive clears, and then you're gonna go in the lead. So it's important not to get too focused on the score in the beginning, and sort of like say, okay, yeah, we're down, so we need to change things up or whatever. If you're doing something and like if you're chipping through a really big keeps, and of course you're going to be down in the beginning, and I think that's mainly the reason why RSP was down, because they were going after all the bigs from Hot and Meatman and these guys, and they have like a lot of reigns and massive troop count and buffs, so it's going to take a while to sort of chip them down, and you're going to be giving away more points while you're doing that. But then when you start clearing them, then that's where you get the chunk of the points from. So it's important not to kind of lose hope in the beginning because of what's happening at that time.
yeah, and to piggyback off of what Jake and Rom said is, like it was still early in the match. I think we were like maybe like 30 minutes in, but we all knew what was at stake, right? Like whoever won semis would go on to win finals, and we knew that people were going to be healing. There's going to be a lot of points on the board, and like Rom said, it only takes like at any point in time we can get that 10 bill, 12 bill clear, and then we'll make up those points.
For sure.
Yeah, so score management is a key part of that as well. Like someone that understands the score is definitely a key point of that. Because like what Ron just described, most people get desperate because they're looking at the score, they're down, like they're like, oh shit, we are losing, right? And there's nobody else to be looking and seeing, oh, the score's moving this way because you're hitting this alliance or that alliance. So I feel it's kind of important to keep that under control a lot as well.
I mean, I'll talk a little bit about, in terms of score management, what I was looking to do this season was jump out to a very early lead. Like in the first half, I wanted to be way out in front. So we were splatting a little bit more than we would like, but we were just trying to spread it around to get a 100,000 or some kind of Manning lead to kind of hope that we could switch to defense in the second half where we were having much better exchanges and see if we could get enough of a lead to kind of break spirits and let people fight for second by attacking us. And that seemed to have worked both times in semis and finals.
Yeah, piggybacking on that, I think like strategy wise, when you're playing against three different teams in all these matches, so like if you can identify who is your closest competition and then going after the other two teams and building up a bit of a lead in the first 30 minutes, and I don't know, that's a great strategy to employ.
And knowing when to flip from when to change your direction from targets is also really important. It's also kind of good. It's also kind of good to do that because then you force the last place to hit you to try to catch you third. So that's like how managing that part. I feel it's one of the key points of being successful in this game.
Absolutely. I think everybody always talks about uh, their build, coining, all of that. But a lot of people forget that this is a strategy game and that there is mental math that goes into it of how do we change what we're doing, right? So I think that would lead us into our next one here of, so what was an unexpected or funniest moment during your battles?
I was late for finals. I was late, and I have a kid, and she kept me awake at night. You guys know how that is mostly probably. And like I woke up an hour prior, but I was like wasted, so I passed out on the couch. They were calling. I had like 86 calls from everybody. I got in the battlefield with 1 minute to the counter.
And here I thought I was going to get a story about a splat or something. No, I just showed up a half hour late. Um, Anyone else have any really unexpected or funniest? We had a couple. I know. In ours, it was like, "Oops, that was a solo." Anybody else have some of those "Oh crap"
Oh,
moments?
was it for finals or challenge in general?
Challenge in general, like we're
Okay.
here celebrating the champions, but we don't have to just talk about the finals. We can talk about the whole season.
So round 1 through like 5 or whatever, where it's not really like important for the big guys. For if you watch RSP for those first rounds, it's a lot of soloing and then rallying the big guy. but we like to spread our points around. So at some point, Oz would go to set a rally on someone, and he'd tell us not to solo, but then you'd see him go in and solo and clear it. That happened a couple times. He was just like messing with us. So that was like some fun stuff he'd do.
I actually posted the moment I find the funniest. It's on the chat for everybody that wants to actually watch it. I don't know if you guys seen the vows, and this is a thing that I do for many seasons. By the way, like I bookmark the hives and the players, and I port swap into their rallies into other alliances, and I get everybody mostly pissed off. The Sardine doesn't even talk to me after I did that on last finals. But it's I'm serious. It's a moment that they were trying to do the best they could for points at the very end of the battle on finals, and they're like, yeah, you only live once, and they tried to solo the guy from war, and he put it away, and I was watching them doing that for like 3-4 times before I actually swapped in it. And when he poured it away, I poured it into all their solos. So there's like, I think there's 8 reports of them soloing me, and they go into the live stream saying, "Oh, at least our marches are crap now because at the end of the battle." And one of them goes, "No, I just healed a fresh ground march that is planted on Siegfried." So for me, that was the funniest moment.
We
Yeah,
tried to
port
beat
swaps
off
are the best.
slowly.
They always spat it. They always spat into that, dude. It was really funny.
Yeah, port swaps are the best. I'm on the other end of the port swap. I'm like the guy who runs away. I did that a couple times throughout challenge for our big boys. That was fun.
And I do want to say that I I I know I do that a lot of times, but I do want to say when you're playing defense, that is actually very effective. If you actually do what we were doing with Cario, and you reinforce to take the first 2 hits, and like he took 2 hits really well, and for the third there was a ground, I ported into the ground. That was like a crap ton of points. It was a lot of points because it was a 4.8 million rally, almost 5 billion. That is splattered on me against 300 mil. So in my opinion, it's very effective points wise if you know how to do that.
Yeah, one of the
Geek,
things. Oh, you want to go ahead?
no, I was gonna say Geek, come up and speak so Viper coins me. Go ahead, Cream.
I was going to say one of the ways that we dealt with port swapping is that we'd set 2 rallies, like an archer on somebody we knew was going to move, and then we'd set like a T11 or a big siege on them as well, and then you'd send the archer at them and then not speed it, and then send the second rally and speed that one, and then once they flipped, it would go in our favor. So that was pretty fun. We did a little bit.
Oh, that's cheeky. I like that.
I think we learned that from C1. Dude.
For us,
I
Geek,
the
get up
funniest
here and
moment.
speak.
Well, for us, the funniest moment was learning that Whoop is human, but uh, he's not AI in the end. But he went off on someone for taking a hospital. But
Did Rev manage to get that on video? Is there video proof? I
no,
don't
it
believe
got
that.
it got scrubbed. It got scrubbed.
No, nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see
No one
that.
wants to see that, but it was still hilarious.
I disagree. I watched it like 20 times.
I think we all should still question whether or not Whoop is human, since they've deleted the video evidence of his humanness.
It's okay. He's still AI. It's all right.
He's still AI. Okay.
Oh,
Hello.
here's the cow. Jesus.
Well, guys, good evening.
Khaled, what
Evening.
was something fun that happened in challenge for Vig throughout the whole challenge? What was some fun stuff?
Wait. Could you please repeat that question?
Aside from him singing "We Are the Champions" all together.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
I
Yeah.
forgot.
Yeah, we did that together. I mean, when you are a champion, you have to celebrate That's the most important thing.
Yeah, if you guys missed it, we had we had Khaled come in, and he is singing "We Are the Champions" a cappella style.
Listen, let me tell you
I-
something. Okay.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah. Uh, I am an honest person. Okay. I speak the language of truth and facts, and people came to me and invite me to join here, and I don't know what's the subject, what's going on. So
oh, goodness gracious. Um, well, on that note, so are there any players or teams that really impressed you guys this season? Uh, is there anybody that stood out to you that you were like, wow, I didn't expect to face them, or a most improved player that you saw?
I think
I
for
was really impressed with how Meatman and C1 did.
for us, it was honestly for
Go
in
ahead,
CP
brother.
was watching small PP actually run rallies. That was the most impressive part for me, particularly speaking, because I have never seen that happening before, not even in All Stars.
Wait, Small PP runs rallies?
He did. Yep.
I've been on the receiving end of Small PP's solos 3 times, 3 weeks in a row, uh, and I didn't know that he ran rallies.
Yeah, he was doing rallies in Châlons. That was to me that was the most improved player going from solo to rally was a big improvement for him.
I think we were
so
surprised by how well built RST traps were, because
yes, that's
a
true.
few of our bigs started soloing, and they just couldn't crack through those traps. It was like, we need to rally these guys. They're such well built traps. And you hear people talking about, oh, buffs are now almost 5k, so traps aren't going to work anymore, and all that stuff. And that kind of, was a point that I took away, that it's not like that. Like, you can have well built traps that can stand up to 4k 5k buffs. So that was a good takeaway for me from that one, because how well built those traps were, it was really nice looking. I think Geek was like really pissed off with some guy who he kept soloing, and he couldn't really crack that player at all, and he started rallying them, and they were quick to port away from rallies as well. So that was funny, and it was a good moment for me.
I do. That leads to the previous question. Actually, one of the funniest moments about the traps was that Dargy was trying to solo Moore's trap called Mr. Darcy. By the way, for people that don't know, Dargy's nickname is Darcy. Chubby calls Dargy Darcy. So imagine Chubby going, Darcy, why is your ground not working? And he going, I cannot solo Mr. Darcy because he's a well built trap. That being said, I do think that people forget that besides all the buffs from Military Academy and K45 that came out, the basic stats from the research from K40 also went up. So
Yep.
one of the things that people are not counting is like if the traps continue to build up to 36, 37, 38, increase their debuffs as well as their buffs in a proper and very pragmatic way, they are actually they can become really good traps. We have many traps in our alliance that people that solo them with 4.7 4k buffs, 4.2 whatever, they cannot crack through them because those stats also keep piling up and stacking, right? So I think like for the players that keep going down that path, it's actually a very viable path for them to continue to have fun. They just I think it's just like the game waves the corny aspect of it too much, and people forget how to actually understand the mechanics and the components of it. So as long as they keep building that way, it should be, I think they will continue to be fine.
Yep, 100% agree with that. It's just, a matter of building it right, like with anything else. Like, you can coin all your wealth into the game and still have a shit account. Same thing with, free to play low coiners. If you do the right thing, if you build the right way, you are still relevant in the game. You can still play against all these big buffs and high coined accounts as well.
Yo, hello everyone.
Hello.
Just someone asking about the T11 siege. Should I refining it flat or percentage in small siege
Percentage.
percentage?
Yeah.
It can be debuffed.
I think we're going into a mechanics call here. Is this the hidden aspect of this call?
No, it was not the hidden aspect of this call.
Sorry, just trying to keep things on track.
No,
That's all.
absolutely.
It's
So
percentage.
I also see in chat Whoop is saying that 123 and Apex impressed him the most during this last Châlons season on improvement in strategy. I don't know if he wants to speak now.
No, I wrote it so that I wouldn't have to talk. But no, one, two, three, and Apex I thought were very definitely improved from the previous season. But I thought they were very impressive teams to go up against.
Well, and I think to echo that, I think a lot of people wrote 1, 2, 3 off in our semis as the team that was going to be fourth, and they came second. And part of that was Dab not showing, and I think they had a great game. And so, yeah, they're a fantastic alliance. So I agree with Whoop on that.
For me for Continent 4, I think SOC, which is on server 819, like really impressed me this season. Like they ended up beating BBC, who is on server 940, in like a semifinal. Who BBC has been like second place team. I don't know, for the past 4 or so Châlons. And SOC, like, I don't know, was really competitive with us, I think, in the finals. And then another team is EVA, who's in the finals with us. Like they're not really a big pointing server. Like I think their biggest account is like a VIP 20, and I think their overall teamwork is like pretty impressive. So if anyone is like a low coining team and they need I don't know, advice about the game, I'd like recommend reaching out to them probably. And then the fourth team that was in the finals with us was Take from server 825, who's like historically very much a solo Japanese mega coiner, and you know, he got his team to the finals somehow. So I think all of those are
Well, but
impressive.
Take actually impressed me a lot because he actually did a good thing. He got all the Japanese players in the same location now, most of them at least. Like
Yeah,
there's Take, there's what's
T
the
same as
name
the
of
other.
yeah. So they are in the same alliance. So I think he did a pretty good job with developing that alliance. That's really impressive actually.
Right.
I think we may have hindered their Châlons finals a little bit.
Yeah, I heard he was super sad about being conquered for the first time. So
No, but other and like they did come out and fight, so props to them for that. Because they came out swinging, and I think they had a 20 bill keep zeroed,
yeah,
and I don't think they healed before because they're probably waiting for that $20 pack after SVS ends or whatever. So I think we played a sort of wrong side of the of Take and his team on that one.
And did anyone else have any players that they saw that they were like, wow, wasn't expecting that, or this team, any teams that they weren't expecting to see? No. So
PSF definitely surprised us. We did not know about them until they got to honestly to quarters. I have like the 20 teams were impressive. Actually, there were many teams that were not there before. SRI is an alliance that I didn't see before. I didn't even know. I had to look them up. So Actually, we had a bunch of new names in C3. I think that was all driven by the merge. So that was actually an interesting season, to say the least.
So with this Châlons season's past us, right? Do you guys think that this has changed any opinions for this upcoming All-Star seasons? Leading from players that just impressed us as well as teams. How do you think that's changed or shaked up All-Stars?
I don't think it shakes All Stars per se, because I think I see All Stars as a completely different match. I do think that for next challenge, it will be a completely different challenge than this one was, from many perspectives. But I think that's a different question, a different conversation. But I don't think All Stars change at all.
Does anybody have any differing opinions, or are we all just that same mindset that you don't think All Stars has changed?
I mean, this is my first time being in C1, so I think the qualifying score might be a little lower, just because I felt like there's a lot of healing in the C1 challenge. So people might not have all the heal speeds for qualifiers, but I think it's probably going to be more or less the same.
Projecting much? No, but for me, I think All Stars is gonna be slightly different in a way in which strategies are gonna be made and things like that, because of how solid defense is right now. I think this might probably the previous All Stars was stronger defense wise than this one, but I don't think a lot of people realized how big defense was, because still most of it was just based on offense and rallies. That'll still be the case because people are going to be swinging and it's all stars. So attack is getting better as well, just like Wiper said right now. But I think defense based strategies might be something that we'll see a lot more in this all stars than the last ones.
I it might be. I think that's gonna play out more for next challenge though. Like I do see defense playing a key component in All Stars for the last 2 seasons. To be honest,
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about cross draining and fast draining like 2 seasons ago. The team that can cross drain the fast, the better, and fast drain for a rally faster is the team that actually takes advantage of everything. So like how fast you score the points in the early part for the easy keeps, and then how effectively you ring and play defense afterwards. I think it plays a component, but I think
Yep.
it's been a little bit like that for a while. The way I think I see is like challenge All Stars now is what challenge is gonna be like a season ahead.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
Hello? Finally, I'm back.
Oh
About
god.
All Stars.
Just pretend
Okay,
we can't hear him and he'll go away.
okay. About All Stars, okay. I believe this season will be much better and harder than the previous season because last season uh, they put the new rules about the winner will get like 100% of his score and the loser will get like 60%. So this rule impact on the alliances that are mid-size or small size. So these alliances they have too much experienced players, and because of that rule and because their alliances are very small, they couldn't make it to last All Stars. But I do believe this time they will go to the top 400 and they will be there. So it will be much harder than before.
All right, so we have some opinions that it'll be a little bit harder than before.
Isn't the biggest change to All Stars the new dragons? So everyone's going to coin for top 50.
I mean, those that have the
Like
coin.
honestly, yeah. But
Yeah, the
isn't that the
finals are
biggest
going to be
change to
crazy
this All Stars? Yeah, like people will actually care about finals now, which they didn't before. So
for sure.
There. What about in C6 or in C4? Do you guys have any opinions on how your all stars might change. I know for C6 last all stars season, I had a friend that qualified on a baby server. He was like 400 mil going against Neo in his first round. So do you guys think that your all stars has changed at all?
Honestly, we're still babies in C6.
Mhm.
I'd say the main change that we're gonna see is the fact that we lost two of our best rally setters to WDF. So that's gonna affect everybody who is gonna get a bad setter. We lost Farron, we lost Muzi, and there was some of the best we had in C6. So that's gonna be interesting to see. But honestly, I do think we're getting to a point where people are being more competitive compared to the previous All Stars we had. And I think that shows on the ranking. For instance, last season, top 200 was like 20K points, and yesterday it's 32K. So I think people are pushing, people are building. But I don't think we're at a point yet where a challenge season can make too big of a change in terms of All Stars. Um, I believe C6, just like the previous seasons, is going to be down to whoever gets put on this team. And it's probably going to stay like that for a decent amount of time.
Yeah, as far as your question about C4, I think it's like pretty mature at this point.
Mhm.
Like it's maybe not the same 400 names every season, but like probably 500, I suppose. So yeah, I think I don't know that Châlons has much of an impact on All Stars in Continent 4, in my opinion.
Absolutely understood. So then let's just see what our next question is here. So that was actually everything that I had directly for you to just kind of get that conversation started. We do have our event question log, and this is where, guys, if you're in the chat, drop your questions in there if you have anything that you wanted to ask. I did see, well, Geek wanted to know where the coffee was. We put Rev in charge of the coffee, and apparently he forgot it. Okay, Geek. Um, so let's see. We had a question of how does your team handle battlefield signups? So I think we heard some people say that like they were late. Uh, how did you guys handle signups for that? Do you guys go in with a prepared team? Is it always your Bach team? Is your Bach invite only? Is it open invite? How do you do that?
Rob, this question for you.
We have open invite. We open an event, and whoever signs up signs up. If it's important seasons, we have a core player and number of 5, 6 core players that have to be on the battlefield. But then the rest is all open sign up.
Yeah,
We
for
have
us, same. We have we like for Shalons, I think we had 20 plus that we wanted to be there, and then during the first 4 matches, you have some variance. You want to get people prizes, but once the important matches come around, you try to lock in the best 25, and that's leadership decision and availability. So it's kind of both.
we just do polls on our Discord, and then according to who makes it, and then who's gonna need a filler, basically. Because the teams that like we go in with all our top keeps, we don't really do battlefields without the rally team. It's just a matter of if the player can actually make it, or if we need to get someone else to fill.
Yeah, same thing here.
So do you guys transition to different time slots or use different teams every now and then?
Time slots, yeah, we do move time slots. More so
To be
because
honest,
there's there's a high chance that people won't show up to the battlefield if we keep showing up in the same time slot. But we do move around a little bit all over the place. We just don't do slots 1 and 2, but for the rest of them, we just move through time slots.
We just keep slot 3 because we know that's what All Stars and Châlons is in.
We'll play slot 3 next time.
We're too small for you, Khalid.
And this is where his noobness shows.
I heard Khaled's going to be setting the rallies from now on.
Sure, we'll do that. If he does that, we'll do it. We'll play it.
And so, mhm.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to chime in for WDF. Like, there's a poll as well that the other teams have said that they use. People kind of list their availability. With All Stars, we have to be more careful. We don't want to run into some of these other teams like RSP, VIG, GOT, HOT. They're not easy to play against in All Stars qualifying. So that's the only consideration I think with time slots there.
We should play, bro.
I think it's easy to play against VIG, by the way, because you don't need to spend like 2 hours. It's just like 5 minutes or 10 minutes.
And so we had a question here that's like, what is the future for low coiners? I think this touches back to way back in our conversation. What would be the build for them to hang with those, 4,000 possibly higher buffs when they release K50? So is there a place for low to no coiners in the future or on those battlefield teams?
Definitely is. I mean, like I touched on it before, traps are like a really good place if you're completely free to play. That's what you should be trying to get. And like with how important portals are in the game, trap accounts really come in handy with situations like that. Because they can sort of literally sit by a portal and bait solo hits and try and keep control of that portal, keep flipping it. And if that's filled up, they just let the rally team know and we can rally it. So that helps a lot. That helps the team a lot because we don't need to then focus on 6 portals, from the rally team. We could just pick like 2 or 3 or 4, whatever, and then the traps can deal with the rest of the portals. So that's one element where they'd be really useful. And if you are a low coiner, there is still, like, I am a relatively low coiner. I'm VIP 17 still, and I play with the rally team in WIG, and I am building up troops and buffs and everything. It's just gonna take more time, and you need to be careful about how you're building because I don't want to sort of build up to like 20 bill or whatever, and then I'll be giving away a ton more points than I'd be making. Um, so it's just a matter of how you go about building it within your budget. But the game does have a lot of different faces to it, and as much as people like to say, "Oh, as long as you coin, you'll be fine," there are aspects to the game that go beyond the coining, that go into strategy, and that go into keep building and things like that. And knowing the mechanics of the game will help you a lot to face these situations and still be relevant in a sense.
So I want to say, like, we have a lot of players on our team that are low or no coin or very limited coin, and like we've done well at least 2 seasons in a row. So um, it's figuring. I mean, it's figuring out where everyone fits, and lots of people can ghost and die and join rallies, and that's like we make sure people conserve healing speeds for Châlons and so forth. I mean, the reality is, and the team can help players grow, right? And I think that's a big part. Is we have, I would say, for a lot of C5 teams, we aren't the highest spend team. We have big spenders at the top. I'm not going to debate that, but I know there are bigger spenders in C5 than our team, and we still have done well the last 2 seasons. Well, 3 seasons, so that we were in finals 3 straight. So again, it's realizing the reality of maximizing the players you have and communicating what the limitations are, communicating what you expect from people during regular battlefields so that you can save for the important ones and so forth. And so I think that's really it's making sure that you value everyone on the team because as Whoop said, like 25 people is important. And again, we don't have 25 mega coiners.
I also
And
you have to
yeah, go
also
ahead,
remember
Zeke.
like you also have to remember that those players, those smaller players that spend way less, they tend to know the game quite well if they are building a PvP account. Like we have a guy that basically he's a sniper guy on our alliance. He has one march. He's a range march, and his march it's powerful, bro. So like he understands exactly what you build, how to build. He knows what to move, how to do things. So it's a very different aspect of the game. So you can learn a lot from those players as well because they tend to make a lot less mistakes than we do. So it's also a good place to learn and help your alliance develop.
Yeah, plus I think there's also an element that it's not just about the keep, right? It's like there are people that actually affect a huge impact just by being good spotters, by coordinating buildings, by doing a thousand things that are more in terms of the strategy and the communication during the gameplay than the keep itself. It's like and some of those people sometimes are in really good keeps, and some of them are in smaller keeps, but their impact could be equally, if not better. It's irrespective of the power of the keep, right? So yeah, I think there's a huge amount of that also going around. So
You know, there are some teams or some players that they don't coin or they don't build their keeps. They just play the game for fun and show on battlefield without growing power or troops or anything. Some of them sometimes they ask me a question: what should they do? I mean, some if I cannot be the rally joiner or cannot be the rally sitter, then there is no need for me in the battlefield. You can see that, especially in the beginning of any server. You will see some players once they died, they will leave the battlefield. They will not do anything. So I kept telling them that it's really important to have many different roles in any team during the battlefield. Like the rally sitter cannot set rallies without finding targets. The rally joiners cannot move. Some of them, when they are rally on them, they don't see it, but others they have to remind them. So there are some players that they have to watch the battlefield. They have to watch the battle log. They have to help the team. I mean, when they are very important when it comes to when you play to a team that have the same level that you have. Like for example, if VIG play against RSP, the buffs and the number of keeps, it won't make a difference. We have our rally sitters, we have our rally joiners, but the ones that keep watching the battle log, the ones who keep taking the buildings, keep taking the portals and calling for targets, they do the big difference during these battles. So anyone can be a very important person during the battle.
Yes, I
And
agree. We even have Khalid to debuff our own accounts because when he reinforces, he debuffs us so the enemy can do better.
uh,
For sure, I have to give some chances for our enemies. And I will be happy to see our enemies, for example, Zero, Kara, Viper, for example. It would be my perfect moment.
so I think it brings us back to some of that first question, and we had a question in the chat. So do you guys feel that having allocated roles within the battlefield is necessary? So do you have specific people who are on portal duty that are your spotters, your callers?
I
Oh
think
yeah, 100%.
oh yes,
yes, 100%. So go
For
ahead, Jake.
sure.
Sorry, I speak too much.
yeah. Yeah, no. So
I
there's
don't
a
know if
ton
I
of roles,
answer. Viper
especially
might kick me.
especially for like when especially when you're playing in Châlons, when you have you're going against three alliances. It's like you need people looking at the court, you need people looking at the portals, you need people looking at the incoming rallies, at the port swaps. There's on top of the perhaps the most common roles that are the spotters and setters and fillers and so forth. So yeah, there's a lot to do, and the more players you have, the more that you can put people to look at into different things that give you a bit more depth of strategy. So yeah, having a lot more people for more roles with well defined activities is pretty crucial actually.
And I think we had a lot of chat earlier about, ego and putting that ego to the side. So, how do you have those conversations with those support players that are aspiring for bigger things and saying, "Hey, this time being a portal guardian is a temporary thing, and it's a vital part of that team." How do you sell that to your team?
I
You
don't
have to
think
do
that.
that.
Sorry,
Go
go
ahead,
on.
bro. No, go ahead. Go ahead, bro.
I don't
Okay.
think there is any role within a battlefield team that is like more important or less important, and it's just letting making the players understand that, and good teams, reasonably good players, they all understand that. Like we all have a role to play, and every role is vital. Like you can't set rallies on targets if there aren't scouters. You can't keep your portals, and if your team gets port locked, you're gonna get hammered and you're gonna lose. And you can't, like, if people don't call out rallies and we don't rain in time, because not everyone is on voice call, or sometimes they are but they can't speak, so they can't call out the rallies on themselves, things like that. So every aspect of that is important to make the team win, and I don't think anyone you know um, would disagree to that. So it's just a matter of, when players understand that, then they can, adapt to play in any role.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is positive reinforcement, right? So after a battlefield, calling out players that may have taken portals and done things that they think aren't that important, and saying, "Hey, great job," or giving people encouragement, not just to blow sunshine up their butt, but because it's true. So I think acknowledging people that are contributing who aren't the rally setter or the big guy, that helps a lot, so they understand they're important to the team.
Also, like, let's remember that those players that aspire those things, like, let's say they aspire to unlock the dragons or go to all stars or do all those things, right? If you're going to all stars, you have to be prepared that if you port away, bro, you have to take a portal, no matter who you are, right? No matter how big or small you are. So, like, you're contributing to your team that is trying to help you grow. So no matter how you look at it, I think the biggest thing is like having no ego is a big part of it, but how you communicate them, saying that that situation is also going to apply to bigger battlefields, not only channels but also all stars and things like that. It actually is helpful for them to understand that it happens in every single battlefield, right? For example, if Viper gets zero during all stars, he's going to be a portal guy. So what then? You know what I mean? So I kind of think it's important to picture that for them as well. That and no matter how big or how small you are, if that happens, that's you're gonna have to do it anyway. So it's a good thing.
Absolutely. So we had a question in the chat here. So what is the best way to communicate quickly during battlefields when there's 5 different languages in the alliance? Have you guys had to face that, and how have you overcome it?
Yes, I had that in the past. We had like our team was like 17 players from different 11 countries with different languages. What you need to do is just practicing. You have to practice. I mean, we had each country, we had an alliance for them, like Indonesia, Russia, Romania, something like that. So every week I keep switching some players. I keep inviting some players to my alliance to practice their PvP players to join the battlefield with me, and they keep practicing day by day. And we do this like weekly. and I asked like the second alliance on our server to do the same with the other alliances, so we can have a good team during SVS or BOC or challenge, and it was a good result to be honest. But what we need to practice.
Yeah, I think in my past experience, it was like getting the rally team members to understand, like, I don't know, basic English words like archer, siege, uh, cav, ground. You know, if they can understand those, then they know when they're supposed to join rallies, and then making some sort of like pre-reinforcement plan, and then just overall having like a plan that everyone's familiar with going into battlefield. And calling for reinforcements is certainly difficult when people don't speak the same language. I think you have to find a competent like English speaker or whatever the prominent language that everyone's speaking, and have them call reinforcements when people need them.
Absolutely. So I'm hearing like some pre-rein if there's an English speaker that, or let's, because that's the prominent language on the stage at the moment, that reinforces someone who may not speak English or the same language as everyone, and having them call that out for you.
So I was actually typing that in chat. So we have a Vietnamese player in our alliance that came from the merge, and he wanted to play the big battlefields and come join us. So what I actually ended up doing for like about a month, I spent a month like sending him audio of how the rallies were called, how he needed to react to that part. Reinforcements is still a challenge because it doesn't call out for that, but that's where having an assigned person looking for incoming rallies became key for us, because they can say, hey, there's a rally on this player because he's Vietnamese, so he can't call the reinforcements, right? But I definitely spent a good chunk of time practicing with him how the rally would be called, what markets to send, and those things. So like I would send him an audio, he would listen to that, and then we would jump on Discord. I would call it, and he would join with the march. It took a little bit of effort, but eventually it ended up working in that aspect. But it was a lot of effort.
And so did you do that kind of like one-on-one with him, or how do you encourage some of those people who may not understand what's being said to join voice calls? Uh, they might be shy or hesitant because they don't understand a word of what's going on.
I think the biggest part of it was because there's also part of the interest of the player. Like I think the first thing is understanding their goals. Because if like their goals is to remain being a player that has a decent march, but not being a part, not, being able to make it through all stars and everything like that, then it does become a challenge. But if those players that go and keep to that side and have a decent march, they usually do want stuff. They want Wonder 3, they want all stars. If you tap into that stream, you can encourage them, say, hey, this is much more effective. You're going to score more. We're going to be able to push you better. So I think it depends on how you depict it. It's also a little bit of how you sell the idea to them and understand them.
Awesome. Did anybody else have any input on how they
Yeah.
deal with
So like with
language?
the different languages on my old C4 team, when we were struggling, we would just
Goodbye, Jake.
Oh,
Hi, Jake.
well, Jake is. Did anybody else? I saw
Uh,
that looks like
it
WDF
was
has some experience. I'm sorry.
uh, in my old server. We had a Discord for the whole server, and we put a bot that translate the language. And every time we are sending some mails to let these people to learn about the game, we put it there and it will be translated to their language. We keep doing that again and again and again. And one more thing, I kept asking them, if you don't understand English, just watch the general. If I set like a ground general, that means it's ground rally like that. So it needs too much time, but it will work at the end. But it depends on the people themselves. They want to learn or not. Like sometimes you keep doing all you can to do to make them better, but the same people don't want to learn, they don't want to practice or become better on the game. So it depends on the people.
Yeah, we would practice in KE sometimes, just like setting on a boss. Just like in the very early stages of developing a team, just like arch going up on a C1 or something. Easy stuff like that.
Awesome. I'm just scrolling through some of these questions, seeing if there's anything I missed. Were there any other questions from anybody in chat that I haven't seen? Rez desperately wants me to ask Silver his question, it seems. So, Silver, I don't even know if I want to read this out loud. Rez, why are you going to make me read this out loud? Why are you like this?
He's messy. He's very messy.
He is very messy, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Because he knows the exact backstory to that question and he wants to air it out to the whole of C5. All I'm gonna say, back to the ego thing, we had some in-alliance issues, and Rez wants everybody to know about them, but I can't do that.
I see. Oh, we've got some going back and forth in the chat here. So the question is, when is WDF going to let someone else win the C4 Châlons? Looks like we got some answers in chat, but does anybody else have any thoughts on that? Does it get too repetitive at some time when there's a team that's always at the top, especially on those maturer servers?
I think the thing with that, it goes back to, I think Viper and I had this conversation long ago. He was helping us recruit, and then I asked him why he would help us. I think what at the stage we are, in the stage that the alliances are, it's interesting if you have a good relationship with the competition, you help them develop a little bit, because then you make your game more interesting, right? We, for example, have a big issue right now with matching other alliances and starting to play a little bit against them, so we understand their gameplay and all those things. So it's interesting to help some other alliances develop and things like that, so you can have a little bit more challenge for them, for yourself, and for your team. It's good, in my opinion.
Yeah, I saw that there was a joke in the chat there that when they move to C3 is when C4 will open up for it to be anybody's games. What are our thoughts? I heard somebody mention mergers earlier, and that kind of, may have shook up Châlons and the teams that they played and how they were impressed with those teams. How often do you think that? What are your thoughts on mergers, and should they be happening more often?
Mergers should be happening differently, I think. Like, I don't think the mergers the way that they currently are help anybody. I don't think it helps the game, and I don't think it helps at all how the servers are developed. Because the way that they are pretty random, you might get really lucky with the hand, with everything you've been given, but you might get like a nothing out of it. So like you might need to rekill the entire server and drive for another merger. I think everyone should change how they do mergers, or allow players to migrate from one account from one server to the other.
Right. And so did we have any other questions from the chat? Anybody who wanted to get up and ask these guys anything directly, not mechanics related? Let's stay on topic. Otherwise, we might wrap up, and looks like I'm getting some requests in chat that we're giving Cream a proper send off.
I
Although
have
Cream seems to.
question.
You have a question?
Yes, yes. I'm seeing the screen
Oops.
about Battle of Châlons, and there is some translation down. How did you do that?
Oh, so you're seeing that I
Oh,
have the uh, closed
It would be
captions on.
amazing. I mean, it would be amazing to use it with some teams when they talk with other players uh, that don't know the English.
Rom's telling me to kick you off. We can talk about that offline. Let's keep it on the topic, but happy to share my PowerPoint tips and tricks with you guys. Uh, so I think we were going to back to Cream. Bamoji wants us to sing. No, nobody wants to hear Snow sing ever.
Yeah, the chat's good enough. I appreciate everybody saying nice
we,
things.
we should
It's
have
really nice.
Khaled
But
sing.
Oh God, we're gonna have Khaled come back on and sing.
Yeah, man, you were one of my favorite C4 players, and I was on 820 right next to you guys. So I always looked up to you, and your content was great, like putting out videos. So it's sad to see you go, bro.
thanks, man. I appreciate that. We don't
Eh,
not good with goodbyes, so like I really don't want to do this, but I appreciate everything. It's nice.
T-Biz is
We
telling
really
you to
should have
stay.
Khaled sing something.
Should we get an upvote on everybody on stage singing "We Are the Champions" except for Snow? Snow will leave the stage for that one. Uh, as the champions of our last Châlons.
If we do that, you gotta post the lyrics.
Oh, well, if I had thought that through, I would have probably gotten a karaoke. I could probably find something on YouTube and share it real quick.
Want to get copyrighted though?
Oh, that's true. If I play it off of,
Yeah,
of
could do the
well,
acapella.
Silver's like, nah, no singing. All right, guys. It doesn't look like we have many more questions and anything like that. We've been going for about 90
Come
minutes.
on, man.
Oh, Coco is amazing, who just posted the lyrics.
I don't know.
Rom has a question. Why is Colleen still on stage? All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming and hanging out with us and having this conversation. We can absolutely pull Baby Bear on stage and have
All
her
right, come on,
sing for
Khaled,
us.
sing it.
Oh my god, I have been kicked out of the stage many times today. Wow.
Well, guys, it's been my pleasure having you guys. Oh, well, are we pulling BB on the stage? Is she going to sing for us, actually? Is that happening? Baby Bear's like, nope. Well, thank you guys for coming to hang out with us and having this conversation, giving us some great tips and tricks, on how we can all develop competitive teams and how you guys got where you are. And we look forward to having more conversations with you guys. And congrats, everyone, on a fantastic Châlons season. And good luck and have fun with this All Stars qualifying season.
Thanks for having us and putting this together. This is really cool.
Yeah, very
Thank
much.
you, everyone.
Yeah.
Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you all. Happy Father's Day. Peace.
Oh, yes,
Happy
happy
Father's
Father's
Day,
Day.
guys. Bye.